Hi there, this is Daniel with In Time Country Living, and on this video I just want to give you guys a little bit of a walkthrough of our property, of kind of what's going on right now and how things are coming along, what we're working on. So let's take a look. So the first thing I wanted to show you is what we're doing in our greenhouse here. So here's our greenhouse here. I have both of the ends open, just the tops right now. I have the door open on this one side so we can get in. So the first thing I have here, which I just moved over here because one of my little shelves was drooping here, so I had to fix that. But here are the onions. These are the yellow Parma variety. A very good storage onion. It's open pollinated. So I got these going here. Quite a few of those. And then we have our flat of lettuce here. So these need to be set out here very shortly. They're getting about up to size. And then I have a bunch of plants that I rescued from Peoria Gardens here when I got some used potting mix from them. So there's a bunch of plants that was kind of mixed in, so I trying to revive a few of them and see what I can get to survive here. Some of them are bulbs, so there's nothing there, but some of the plants are either dying or doing okay, not terribly great. Then I have one of my pots of my sweet potatoes. So this is kind of what they look like now. So they're not growing terribly tall, but they're starting to get some pretty good leaves on them. These will be the slips that we will be setting out. I have another pot over here that I just did about a week ago or so. So they are getting some nice leaves on them. And I need to count them all up and figure out how many I have, and then I keep finding more bed space to put them in. So I found a few more sprouts off of one of the potatoes I have in the house, so I may be making some more of those. Got our tomatoes here. Most of these are some sun gold, and these are some my mother had started for me. A few of them are my daughter Ginger's, and some of her cucumbers in this area here. These are some of hers. So in case you guys are wondering how I protect the plants in my greenhouse from cold nights that are below freezing. Thankfully we don't have any of those right now, but we had in the past, so this is what I'm using right now. Just a little, this is a Delani Safe Heat. It's got a thermostat on there. I have it set to like 5 on the thermostat, and then I usually just put it on medium. There's 3 different settings. Don't remember, I think it's like 500 for minimum, and then 750, and then maybe like 1,000 or something like that. So I usually just put it on medium, which is about, I think, 750 watts. So that goes on and off during the night. So it's just one of the oil-filled radiator electric heaters. So I just have an electric cord going over to the side of my house there. So I have a little thermometer and humidity gauge there on the floor in the shade here, so I can kind of keep track of how warm it is. So we got about 75 in here right now. It was up a little warmer before, but it's got the door open for a little bit, so it's cooling off a little bit. But that's 80 degrees is a good temperature to try to keep it at. So I got my collards here. So I kind of rub it on the side here with masking tape and the extreme Sharpie here so it doesn't fade. And so then I got some tomatoes, Wheatley variety. I think I did about 6 of them. And I think about 2 of them are going to survive there. So I'm not really going to get very many of those, but I'm not going to do very many tomatoes this year. Got some basil. So that's taken a real long time for it to get started here, so they're real tiny yet. And then I did some fennel, so trying that for the first year. And I got all of our I think those are the cucumbers. So got those ready to go, and I think I got enough of them there. And then we got more of the onions. She's got some of her peppers there. And I got some more of the cucumbers here. And butternut squash. Actually, I think these are the butternut squash in here. They all look about the same. So I got quite a few of those. Not going to do a whole lot this year. I think I'm going to do one bed, which is about 10 plants or so. And did one little start of just some different things I wanted for microgreens, some arugula and cilantro down there. Some of it's just kind of playing around here. I got some parsley. A lot of it didn't really turn out terribly well. Cilantro, or the arugula, is discolored now, so it's showing it's lacking some nutrients. Phosphorus, I think, is purple. So it's probably what's lacking here. And then I got some spinach starts. So those need to go out as soon as I can find a bed for those. Got all my beets, flat beets, both golden and red beets. So that's Ruby Queen and Burpees Golden. And then Swiss chard. Got a flat of Swiss chard over here, so that those will go out as well. Just kind of different varieties of those. And I got my cabbages right there. Some red ones and some green ones, about 3-4 different varieties there. Got my kale, so that's coming along here. About ready to, it's about the size of, the biggest ones there, about the size I want to set them out, so they need to go out fairly quickly. And I got my peas, which I should have done a long time ago, but just finally had some time to do that, so got about 4 flats of peas densely planted here. So there's about 1,000 seeds in there, ready to, once these get sprouted enough and I feel like I want to set them out, I'll get those set out. More onions, so I got way more onions than I need, so thinking about selling some of these if anybody wants any onion starts. These will be available. And then I got my broccoli over here, so it's about time to get those set out too, maybe in the next week here. Alright, so let's take a look at what else is going on around here. So let's go take a look at the fruit trees around here and see what's going on with them. I really enjoy the fruit trees, and they produce a lot of good food for us. So out here in our front yard here, I guess you could say, the one that's closest to the road, we got a few little fruit trees out here. So this is our little Fuji tree. It's getting a lot of green leaves on it now. So it looks like it's doing fairly well. It's a couple years old here. And then over here we have another Bartlett Pear. It's put in several years ago. So it's again, last year it put on all kinds of blooms, and this year it's even more blooms. So I'm going to have to go and remove all those once they get pollinated and before they set any fruit on there, so it doesn't stress the tree out. I won't let it bear any fruit this year. For about 4 years or so I'll just pick the fruit off, and then the 5th year I'll collect the harvest that year. And then this is our little Honey Crisp over here. This is not doing quite so well, but it's doing okay. It's coming along very slowly. And then this over here is our Gravenstein. So this is a big old tree that's been around for a long time before we got the property. So I've been bringing it back down and brought it back into production here. So it's got a lot of nice blooms on here this year. There are some other grafts. So you'll see a bunch of white flowers, and then you'll also see a few pink ones in here. And other slight variations of pink and white here. So I think we'll get a nice harvest off of here this year. But yeah, like I mentioned, there are some other varieties from grafts. Like you'll notice this branch here is particularly a different color. And so it's not all opened up in white. It's got some still little pink blossoms that are all closed up still, and so that's a different variety. And so this one here is a McCowan apple, and I think there is a, let's see here, Jonna Gold. There's a Jonna Gold over here somewhere, one of these branches. This one down here, I believe. So he's the Jonna Gold. And this over here is my Red Delicious that has all kinds of grafts all over the whole thing. So anyway, it's doing very well this year. Got lots of blooms on it. And so there's all kinds of different varieties on that. So happy to be able to try more of the varieties this year. So the honeybees I see are out today working the blossoms here. And over here in the front of the property here by our front gate, I'm trying to get this little plot of land into production for tomatoes and peppers. So tomatoes don't particularly like overhead watering, and since I've gone to that in the main part of the garden, it's not appreciated it, so got a lot of disease coming on there. So anyway, I'm trying to get them out of the way of the sprinkler by giving them their own little space here. So I was given a bunch of fencing and some, I bought the posts there, and I'm using some of my 10-foot T-posts to make a little garden here. So I got the gate finished here for the most part. Well, okay, not quite finished. Still got to put some netting over the top of the gate there to keep the critters from going right through the gate, and then making a latch. So just about finished with the latch for that. So, and then it's about 28 feet long by about 11 feet wide. And it's fairly good ground out here. I grew wheat in here last year, and so it's kind of the residue of the wheat on there. Some of it's sprouting, and some of it's just laying there on the ground as far as what I left, the chaff. So that's a work in progress. When I get some more time, I'll see if I can get that up. But variety of different fencing to get put on that. So very thankful to be able to get that up there. And got a nice couple of blooming trees. All the cherry trees are blooming nicely now, and got one of the pink ones there, some kind of pink flowering tree. I think it's an apple, pink flowering apple, and the big white one is just kind of green right now. It's kind of finished. Well, maybe it's kind of starting. I haven't been watching it too closely. Usually it blooms first, but anyway. So that's a big attractant for the bees. And got the big rhododendrons out here, and got some of the hyacinths here in this part underneath this oak tree. So it makes a nice little area here. So here is our composting area underneath the trees in here, where it can't really grow anything, but it's good for keeping the weeds down, I guess. So yeah, this is a good area. It keeps the sun off it so it doesn't dry out quite as quickly during the summer, and keeps the rain off of it more during the winter, somewhat, but still have to tarp it during the winter to keep the rains off. So don't have a lot of compost this year. It's going to be a little meager, so we're going to have to just make do, and everybody gets a little less. So I decided to put a lot of the oak leaves that I mowed up and a little bit of the grass clippings out on the beds this year, rather than just bring them in and store them underneath the trees here like I usually have in the past. So all that material is out there. All my brown material for making compost is out there on the beds, so I got to rake them and bring it in here, and then start making my compost by mixing the grass clippings from mowing. That's now growing now, so I got one mowing done out here already. This is my first compost pile of the year, and it's heated up nicely. Got it up to 160 degrees, so that's not too bad. So anyway, I got that going for me. I got a couple big pile over here. I still have a lot of bed space I need to cover. So anyway, we're going to be a little slim on compost. Another compost pile over here that is more for kitchen waste and some of the stuff that I had made from last year. So I kind of just incorporate the kitchen waste into the compost pile there. Alright, let's check out the garden here. So this is kind of an overview of the garden here. There's my pea patch, and beyond that is the bean and corn field. Not the big one, the little one on this side of the fence. And we got the hedgerow, and then on the main garden area down here. Let's see what we got over here. So I got my garlic. Got 2 beds of that, plus it's regular garlic. And then I got elephant garlic I'm trying to propagate out. So I was able to get a fair amount of cloves last year, and then I planted those, and so these are the plants I have so far grown, and then when these produce, they'll give me about 4 or 5 new cloves, so I'll be able to quadruple my supply of cloves of the elephant garlic, so that'll be nice. And then underneath the floating row cover here is my fava beans, which the birds were enjoying and everybody else was enjoying digging up, so they've been covered and they need to be replanted because too many of them have been lost. So that's a work in progress, but covered them initially here just to keep the birds off until I can figure out, get more planted here. Got a few onions down there that's from last year, so I'm going to be hopefully getting seed from those. And then I got my potato beds. Got 2 big potato beds here. This bed here and the next one over. So they haven't come up, emerged yet. And then I got down there, I have my carrots. So I made a short little bed, about 17 feet of carrots here. That's all I need here. They looks like they need some more water here today. Got to get them watered about every day. So I made a nice deep bed of compost and used potting mix. Tilled all that together with the soil, fairly deep. So we're going to give that a try this year and see if we have any better luck with the carrots. See if we can get them to be up to size. And then I have more beds over here that need to be prepared. Some that are going to be, a lot of these are going to be sweet potatoes and green beans and all kinds of stuff here. Some of the stuff is just going to be direct sowed like the green beans. The others are going to be transplanted. And the ones that are covered there had a lot of weed growth because I didn't have enough of the fall leaves to put on there to mulch the beds with. So they're being covered with plastic here to kill off the weeds. And so in the other bed, and space in between there is just going to be another sweet potato bed there. Trying to put some potty mix there on that bed and mix that in a little bit to lighten up the soil. So hopefully sweet potatoes will do a little better this year. And then the other 2 beds there. So I think I'm only going to do 1 bed of the butternut squash, so I just get too many and don't have enough people that want them. So I'm going to limit that and maybe do more sweet potatoes or something like that, or beans or something like that. I'm not sure yet what I'm going to do with that bed. Have some of the celerac here. So I got about 4 plants left. So I've been pulling some leaves off of those and enjoying those as a fresh green. And there's my rhubarb here. So I got basically two big plants, and they are kind of budding off, and so I gave one to my daughter Ginger for her little garden already, and as soon as I can find a place to transplant some more, I will kind of break them up and kind of propagate them out a little bit more. And this is my quince tree here in my hedgerow. So it's actually doing better than the quince tree I planted in with the other apple trees. So it's taken off. It likes this area, so I guess I'll make use of it. It's got some more buds. I don't know if I'll get any actual fruit off of it this year, but you never know. So this is what my pea patch looks like right now, up a little closer. So there's 7 rows here, and this is just 4-foot field fence that I have as far as the trellising system and the shorter T-posts. And so I put a bunch of compost and organic matter down on the beds here, and I've raked these already to get the bigger leaves and chunks, and so that's gone to the compost to make new compost, and put down fresh compost on each of the beds here. So just waiting on the transplants from those. And here's our asparagus bed. So we're starting to get some asparagus coming up here this year. I've already had a couple pickings of about 4 or 5 spears, so they're coming up slowly, but they're starting to come up. I usually leave the really skinny ones, those are the females, and the fatter ones are the males. So I leave the females to create big ferns to photosynthesize and provide nutrition back down to the roots, and just harvest the male ones. Got our oregano, which keeps spreading, and some chives. This is kind of our herb garden in here. And some green onions and some garlic chives and some parsley. There should be some parsley coming up in here at some point, hopefully. And we got some strawberries. So these are strawberry boxes. Got 4 boxes, and a little bit down the end beyond there, which I just had about 6 plants that had some bed space, so I put them in there since I don't have a box for them. So they've been all dug up and broken apart and reset out here, and the soil mended again. So they are doing fairly well. I have to keep them well watered here since I got them. My breaking up and retransplanting process, it was already kind of getting dry around here, so I'm really having to keep the water on them so that they can take hold and survive and not die. Usually you want to do it when it's still kind of rainy and wet, but that didn't happen, so making do. And I got my leeks. So here's another part of my leek bed. These are just kind of eternal leeks. I keep breaking them apart. So those are doing nicely. And all kinds of leeks in there I can harvest and just kind of cut off at the bottom. Have our trellis of thornless blackberries. These are the triple crown. They are doing nicely here. It's about 35 feet or so of them. So I started with 2 plants and propagated them out. So these are the 2 bigger ones on here are the 2 main ones I had, and so they've done nicely. And then a new bed I started this year is for our red raspberries. These are the Cascade Delight variety. So our patch kind of died out and didn't do too well and took over by blackberries, and so we enjoyed the blackberries for a while and then decided I need to move them and start over fresh. So haven't got the trellis up yet, but that's in the works. All these starts came from my parents, who I had given starts to from my original the roots that we bought. So there's about 38 feet of those. I don't know how many plants there are, but I'm still going to get about 3 posts in there and some ground anchors and some wire and get those going. And then I have our tayberry bush, which I just transplanted a couple weeks ago here and put it in this little bed here. And so this is going to be a long bed all the way down with tayberries. Half of it's going to be tayberries, the rest is going to be fall gold raspberries. And I got some fall gold raspberry starts I need to get set out here as soon as I can get the bed prepped. So it's just weeds and grass right now, so it's got to be spaded under and more soil put on top and amended with compost and peat moss and whatever else I can put in there. So our fruit trees over here, these are little fruit tree starts that are a couple years old. These are the ones I grafted myself. So the first little apple tree here is called a Gold Rush, and it's very similar to a Golden Delicious, but it tends to get more flavorful in storage rather than less flavorful like a Golden Delicious does. Got, kind of a yellow apple, holds its texture well. And this little tree over here is a Melrose Apple. It's very nice. These are on semi-dwarf. That is an M7 rootstock, if you care. And I think this is a M26 rootstock. This is a Granny Smith apple. It's getting pretty tall up there. I need to find some good side branches that I want to use as the top of my tree and then top it there. But I'm just trying to look for some good branches before I do that and figure out exactly what height I want to stop it at. And my little fig here, which is not looking too happy. Not sure what its problem is, but it's still green, but the buds on the tips looks like they're fairly dead. There's some, but I think it'll leaf out here shortly, but hard to know exactly. It's died back to the root already once and it had to come back. And then we have the other Quince Tree, which looks kind of puny compared to the one in my hedgerow, which is just kind of rough soil there. I never amended it or did anything. I just kind of shoved it in the ground, and it's doing better than out here, where it gets a lot of wood mulch around it. And there is, I believe, a Liberty down there. So that's my little Liberty one I grafted onto. And we got some plum trees that I've been grafting on some Brooks prunes onto. So these aren't doing terribly well, but they're still growing and got a few blossoms on my grafts from last year. And this is a Bosc pear. That's one that I grafted that one. And it's probably 5-6 years now. It hasn't been doing terribly well here. And this is kind of called lower orchard, I guess. This is below the main garden, which is to the right there. We come around a circle here, headed east again. And so there is a Brayburn on the right there, and Honeycrisp there in front of us. And Honeycrisp beyond that's dead. It's got peach tree borers, I think, in there, and this is a pie cherry tree, and a Liberty apple, and we got our Golden Delicious up here. These are some of the older trees. It's produced for the last 3 or 4 years very nicely. So it's got a few grafts on there, but most of it's Golden Delicious. And then our Brooks prune tree is kind of our last one over here. So this is last year was our first year we got a good harvest off of it, and this year looks like it's got a lot of blooms, so excited to get some more of those. And there's Ginger's garden down here. She's got some black currants, gooseberry, there's the rhubarb we transplanted, and a few strawberries there, which look like the new ones need some more water here. And she had some carrots that she was trying to plant there and haven't come up yet, so we'll see, get those to germinate. All right, well, there's kind of a quick tour of what's in the main garden here, and so hopefully we'll get a good harvest. But a lot of the main work is bed prep, getting all the beds amended with compost and raked over and cleaned up and weeded and that kind of stuff, and then get the plants set out here, figure out where everything's going according to the clipboard. And so anyway, hopefully everything will come out okay this year. Alright, well, that's all I have for you on this video. Thanks for watching. God bless, and I will see you guys on the next video. Have a great day.